What is up, everybody? We are back. In case you don't know, we are Beyond Us. I'm Daniel. I'm joined once again by Brett.
Hey!
And Salo.
Howdy!
We are here for episode 18. 18! I don't know why
We
I'm
adults,
excited.
baby! We adults!
I don't know why I'm that excited. It's just 18. It's not like it's a round number.
We made it.
Like I'd be
it's an
like
even number.
Like a 15, 20, 25. Those are what you get excited about. I'm excited. 18. Fuck it.
I don't know. The 18th birthday is
That's
big.
true. We legal. We legal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We can consent. But we don't.
And with that note,
What is up, everybody? You know what? Let's tell everybody how we've been doing. Brett, what's new with you in the last couple of weeks, sir?
Well, I bought a car. Nothing special. Just gets me from point A to point B. That wasn't eluding anything. It's literally not a special car. Yeah, it's just a car. Oh, right. I'm in Japan now.
I was going to say, if you didn't
this is
say
a
that.
temporary living. Yeah, I just ignored the fact that I'm in Japan.
Well, like I was going to say, if you didn't say that, I was just going to hit you with well, sir, is there a reason you waited a year to get a car in Korea?
Just couldn't commit.
Brett does have commitment issues, everybody.
so what's
fuck
the
it.
difference? Why did you decide to get a car here as opposed to not over there?
I'm gonna be here for 2 years, and I was only in Korea for 1. And
excited.
it's not as walk friendly here.
Oh, that's fair.
And I will say, I can't speak for Brett, but I can kind of speak for the mentality of the military. Getting a car just to have it transported from Korea to Japan, then to have it transported from Japan to wherever he goes next, that's a lot on that car.
That's fair.
So this is for most people. Very rarely do people actually take their vehicles from Korea or Japan. It's just too much of a hassle. So there's systems to get used cars, and these are just cars that are passed through from individual to individual. Yeah, they're meant to last 1 to 2 years,
just to get the job done.
Yeah.
And then he can
So
get
those
another
in
car
the
when he
United
gets back to the
States.
U.S.
Those in the United States are really expensive right now. Are they? Just yes or no. Are they expensive over there for like a used car? Because over here, some of them are going crazy.
How much if you wanted to buy, let's say, a 2004 vehicle outright?
How many miles? How many miles? Because that's really important.
100,000? 100,000?
That's it?
That's pretty good.
I'd go up to 4.
Well, so I mean, something
6
something
even.
you have to understand. There's not a lot of places not a lot to do.
That's true.
Like,
That's true.
In America,
Less area. Less
people
area.
are traveling everywhere.
Less
Yeah,
area. Yeah.
That's funny. I wonder if that has something to do with it, like a lot. Like,
An 04
There's just not
with
many
100,000, I'd probably be willing to go up to like 4 or 5. 4 and a
People would
half.
pay
Yeah,
up to
I'd
6,
go 4
7.
and a half.
Okay. 2.6.
Yeah, you got it. You got it good.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be selling it before I leave, so I'll make some of that money back.
Yeah, a little bit.
it's not bad.
It's
not bad at all.
No, I only know one person who has gone to Japan and came back with their car, like got their car in Japan and brought it back, and that's because they got a Skyline.
It sounds expensive.
So that
What's a
is
Skyline?
something a lot of people do.
Because if I had ever went to Japan, I probably would have done that. I would have got a car where I was sitting on the right side. I brought that bitch back to the States just to fuck with people. I probably would have done that.
I've seen like 1 or 2 people like driving on the other. I'm like, what are you doing there, buddy?
So most of the time, like, you have to get it reformatted to state regulations.
Really?
Not when
I
it
guess
comes to
it's
like
a-
what
it-
side of
the-
the car you drive on.
No, not necessarily that. But when people do that, they just, I'm just going to swap it over. And people do that. They swap it over.
Then they're the people
If
who
they're
want to
going
be
through the
unique.
process
I wouldn't
already.
want that. I'd want to be on the right side.
They're the people that want their car to be like their car. Like, they want it to be
They want to be
what
what they're used
to.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't willing to acclimate to things.
Yeah. Especially with driving, it's
fair
weird.
reason. Yeah, no, driving's one of those. I don't know why we're not universal in driving. So, I understand why the like the driver's seat is where it is in those locations. It's supposed to be to the center of the road.
Yep.
And in those locations, you drive on the left side of the road. I don't know how he haven't gotten to a point where everywhere on the planet doesn't drive on the same side of the road.
Kind of like Celsius and Fahrenheit. Just can't decide.
Right, or metric, like, why are we not all on the metric system? Why did we have to be complicated? Because it's on the states. It is. Yeah. It's on America for being dickheads and saying, "Oh, we're special." To be
individual dickheads.
I want to use feet and yards, not meters.
I mean, it just goes. I think it goes to play like when you are. I don't necessarily want to use the word oppressed, but when you're under someone else's ruling, right, and you finally get away from that.
You want to change it as much as you can.
You want, you want to be as different from them as possible.
That's fair.
You want to be your own entity. And, I mean, that was a big thing America did when they finally gained their independence.
No, you're right. That's fair. But, in the long run, it's just made things more complicated.
I mean, it has. And, I mean, in that regard, for America specifically, it's a matter of, like, well, we don't like change.
Yeah, like we should change.
Yeah. It'd make things easier.
Like, there are certain things that I think should just be changed for the benefit of everybody. Like switching to the metric system. Brett hears a ghost. Okay. Brett has muted himself. That ghost is really...
So definitely a ghost confirmed.
But I'll continue. Like switching to the metric system, that's something I think should just happen. I know it would be an adjustment, but it should happen. Another change, and I might have said this before on the podcast, but I'll say it again just in case. I am adamant about this. I think that schools in America should teach, instead of teaching Spanish or French or any of those, they should teach American Sign Language.
That'd be pretty badass. I'd love to know sign language.
Because I'm never going to wake up and just suddenly only speak Spanish. My kid's not going to be born only speaking Spanish, but I could end up in an accident tomorrow and go deaf. My child could be born deaf.
I guess I've never thought about that, but the implications, like, imagine everybody being able to communicate silently.
But still, like, Brett and I can communicate silently just by looking at one another. Like, we have, like, this wavelength that we're on because we're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean, that's a big theory that exists. Is like there is a underlining universal language throughout humanity.
Yeah,
and like you pick up on it when like just certain nods and just like you're able to look at each other and like, oh, I know what you're thinking. You know what I'm thinking.
It's why you can look at somebody without saying a word, and both of you will just start giggling.
So, like, I know what you mean.
So, like, the idea of, oh, no, everybody could be talking quietly. So what? Realistically, I am definitely going to be in a situation where I need ASL before I'm in a situation where I need French. Like, it's just realistic.
I've never thought about that.
There are more deaf people in America than there are people that only speak French. Honestly, there are probably more deaf people in America than people that only speak Spanish. Now, do speak Spanish? There's probably more people that can speak Spanish. But solely? I would say there's more deaf people than people that solely speak Spanish in the United States.
That solely no sign language?
No. I'm saying I think there are more people that are deaf than there are people that only speak Spanish. They don't speak English at all.
That's interesting. I think I could see that. Definitely.
Like, and I'm confident of
American Sign Language is big. Like, it's very big, apparently. I didn't know about it as much, but...
I think that it should be taught in schools before foreign languages should, because it's more applicable. And it could affect your future. Like, imagine
I don't think there's a lot of reason...
deaf, and then you don't know sign language at all.
Yeah.
Like, it would suck, but guess what? It's way more likely than my kid being born only speaking Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my kid comes out only speaking Spanish.
We're fucked.
I fucked up.
It's
Right?
like, first, how did this happen?
I don't know how you manage that.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Bro, your girl watched way too much Dora the Explorer.
Look, and
During
here's the thing.
and after the pregnancy.
I could end up with a girl who speaks a lot of Spanish. Like, I could end up with a girl that's bilingual. And if I do, I want her to teach our children Spanish. It's useful.
Yeah. But not in
But
school.
they're not going to be born only speaking Spanish. They could be born deaf. It happens. American Sign Language would just be way more useful. I also think schools should teach certain things mandatory. Every school should teach home ec. Everyone should learn how to cook the bare necessities in school. Every school should offer driver's ed. And
learn how to taxes.
What? Yeah, taxes.
Learn how to do taxes.
Yeah.
Learn how to budget.
So finance.
Just
a
finance
class.
a finance class.
Yeah, budgeting, taxes, how to balance your checkbook, all of those
How
things.
credit works.
Right. All of that in a finance class. There should be a mandatory finance, a mandatory home ec, and a mandatory driver's ed at every high school to graduate. Every one. Even if it's just written driver's ed because you don't have the facility to do physical.
At least
Just
they have the
making them
knowledge.
take tests on like the rules of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's so many people that are just dumber than a bag of rocks. Brett remembers this. Salo, you've never heard this story, but Brett remembers this.
That just don't know how to drive.
Brett remembers this. I guarantee it. Salo, you're about to hear a new story. When I was in the military, I got pulled over on base for not stopping at a yield sign.
But that's not how a yield sign works.
Yeah, why don't you tell the MP?
Yield is you yield if there's something to yield to.
Correct.
Not nothing to yield to.
That is
you don't
the
just
difference.
yield to yield for yield's sake yield's sake.
Well, that's definitely
foolish.
what that security forces guy thought. It was that I didn't stop, and he tried to give me points on my on my driving privileges on base, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need to talk to like the superior then because
if you think about it, yielding when there's no reason to yield, you could cause an accident. Hazard. Because if I'm behind you, and you yield,
yeah,
why are you stopping, fool? Why now? I'm gonna crash into you. I'm glad I got a good insurance.
I will say
you're screwed. I'm not.
If you crash into me because I didn't because I stopped, that's your fault. You shouldn't have been riding my ass that hard.
So when you get to a stop
sign,
I want. Right? You guys get to a stop sign.
Yeah.
Stopping is all four tires cease movement, right?
Completely. No momentum.
Right.
That has nothing to do with the vehicle.
Correct.
So just
the wheels have nothing to do with the vehicle.
With the way the perpetual motion works, because all four wheels stop, that doesn't mean the rest of my car isn't going to be isn't going to stop moving. So
I guess you're right.
So stuff might, jostle a bit, might slightly move a little bit forward. Mm-hmm. So when you come to a complete stop at a stop sign, all of you have to stop are your four tires. Fuck if I didn't get hemmed up because the front of my car moved a little bit.
I still stopped. My four tires on the ground.
Yeah, I stopped. I came to a complete stop, started going again, and then all of a sudden I had lights behind me. I'm like, what the fuck? What just happened?
Yep.
Like, you didn't come to a full stop at the stop sign. I'm like,
sir.
Yeah, I did. He's like, you're going to sit here and argue with me that you ceased movement? I'm like, were the tires moving? Nah, man, I saw the front of your car move past the line a bit. I'm sorry, what? That has nothing to do with my... That's not how that works.
I've been pulled over for going 26 and a 25.
I mean, you were speeding.
I was.
I've been wanting all my life to get pulled over. I always, every time.
Here's the thing. Wait a minute.
Wait,
hold on.
What?
Go ahead, Salo.
So I've been waiting all my life to go one over and for somebody to have the audacity to give me a ticket.
They can.
I'll just frame it. I know, that's just ridiculous to me.
Oh, it's dumb, but they can. So here's my thing. If we're going to make it so that the rules are you can penalize me for going one over the speed limit and we're gonna regularly have places where 25 is the speed. I feel like that's an average through like a town. 25. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
How 25. Come I can't use my fucking cruise control at that low of a speed? I have to be going at least 28 to use my cruise control.
Really? Yeah, it's a bit annoying.
Yeah, I have to be going at least 28.
I need to try that tomorrow. I need to try that.
So, like, I just have to put it on 28 and hope that they don't pull me over for those 3.
Yo, conspiracy theory. They lobbied the car manufacturers to have that limit. Dun dun.
I've
seen crazier things. I believe
I get not cruise controlling at 15, but if the average speed limit's, 25 for, township areas, let me use my goddamn cruise control at 25. You don't want me to speed? Let me set the bitch. Just saying. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. let's move on. Here, how about we answer a question? We got 3 of those this week. Let's see. Let's answer.
I got one for you too.
Okay, all right. Well, let's answer one of Amber's first. Here we go. If all of us became a ghost tomorrow, who would you haunt? Give one answer for who you would mess with for funsies, and one answer for who you would haunt because you think they deserve to be scared. I feel like for funsies, I have to pick Brett.
Well, I mean, we're already ghosts, so we can't pick each other.
Oh, that's true.
We're all just
I'm not gonna haunt a
Brett and I are both
ghost.
Gonna go fuck with Quinn.
Nah, because I was absolutely gonna fuck with you and pretend to be your father.
Oh, that's so petty.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
That's so petty. I was gonna fuck with you and pretend to be my father.
There's so many layers there that we could unravel.
Oh my god. I mean, yeah, if we all became ghosts at the same time, then I guess I gotta pick Quinn. And that sucks, because that means Quinn's getting 2 ghosts.
I wouldn't haunt Quinn.
No?
Quinn would kill me.
But it's for funsies.
Yeah, but I don't think he'd take enough time to realize it's me, and he'd kill me.
But if we both show up at the same time,
then he's going to disappear.
Kill both of you.
Or kill both of us. One of the two. He's just going to be gone.
I mean, I would want to haunt Solo if that was an option.
If that was an option.
But that would be because he would be scared.
Well, I would be scared.
I would want to haunt Solo if a video camera was involved, so I could put that shit up.
God, imagine. What's
funsies,
that movie called?
I would just make you see roaches randomly.
Dude, that's not nice.
You're
not in a nice mood today, Brett.
First
the father bit, now this.
I would take the form of us.
Stop it. They don't bring that up anymore.
For funsies, I would probably haunt. Oh, this is tough. Funsies is the hard one.
I would haunt Kevin Hart and be the source of so many comedy specials.
That's brilliant. But wait, hold on. He might be too scared, bro. Here's the thing. You gotta remember, Brett. You gotta remember.
You break Kevin Hart.
This is just the rules. As we have been informed, Kevin Hart is a brother, and brothers don't fuck with ghosts. He ain't gonna waste his time with you. He's just gonna leave.
Yeah.
If he thinks that his house is haunted, he's gonna move. If he thinks his next house is haunted, he's gonna keep moving.
I know the horror story.
He ain't gonna have time for comedy anymore.
I'm not haunting his house. I'm haunting him.
Right, but then he ain't gonna have time for comedy because he's always gonna be on the run. Oh, you'll take breaks?
I'm not gonna constantly do it. I'm gonna let him get his special out, watch the special, and
then haunt him. All right.
Yeah.
I would haunt Amber.
That's fucked up.
I think it would be hysterical, though.
She ain't done nothing to you.
Do you not remember Amber's reactions to my fucking ghost clips on Twitch? They are priceless. It would be hysterical. Haunting Amber would be one of the funniest things I've ever accomplished in my life.
What about you, Solo?
I don't know. I just want to be... I want to be chaos. I just don't know who I would pick.
I would be...
I would Genghis Khan.
Gun.
2 words, my friend.
You can't.
I would time travel as a ghost to the period of Genghis Khan. I never said I wouldn't genre bend. Okay, we're time traveling as a ghost to meet Genghis Khan
time travel
to do Genghis Khan shit.
I didn't know
and
you
then
were
I would
Danny
haunt him.
Phantom.
Yeah.
I love me some Danny Phantom though.
Go haunt
That show was
Right.
legit. DJ
That shit was legit. Yeah.
Oh fuck! All right, now for scares. Okay, so the question asks because they deserve to be scared.
Oh, deserve to be scared.
Deserve to be scared.
Vladimir Putin.
We went 2 different
I'm sorry.
directions.
Yeah, my direction is the president of.
You went for the
a
dong.
huge-
I went for the dong user.
No comment, no legal comment here.
I feel like
just
Deshaun
feel like-
Watson deserves to be haunted.
What about you, Brett? Who deserves to be haunted? And you can't say Genghis Khan. I forbid it. I'm already haunting.
You,
I might get
motherfucker,
some-
you deserve it.
I might get some flack if I say this.
What you got? What you got?
Say it.
Logan Paul.
Just to fuck with him. I
Logan
can
or
see
Jake?
that, both of them. They're like same DNA.
Well, I mean, yes, they would be. They are a family.
But they're
Solid.
different people.
They are different.
I
people.
understand.
Which
they
one
have
deserves
different
it more?
DNA.
I think Logan deserves it more.
The guy who made that forest video.
That's Logan.
Fuck that. Yeah, fuck that.
Probably. Although I would then become great content.
Yeah.
If I was haunting him, I would act as if I was the ghost he unsettled at the forest when he fucked with that. Yeah. And never let him live it down.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, you know what? Well done, Salo. Well done.
It took me so long to get to you, but I found you.
Well done.
Anywho.
All right, Brett, what's your question?
Okay.
No, moving on.
In y'all's opinion, what constitutes a drug?
I guess, like, if you were to tell me, like, give me a...
So
a
if
rough-
I hand you aspirin, would you consider that a drug?
Yes.
So I think a drug would
Solid.
be anything that would affect you biologically or psychologically.
If something affects you psychologically, it's a drug?
I would say any substance
See? I don't
that
know.
can affect you physically or psychologically and has addictive traits.
There's just... Without putting the addictive traits, I just can't leave the definition as is because it's not, like... It's too vague. I don't know.
But would I consider alcohol a drug? Yes. Would I consider Tylenol and aspirin and things like that drug? Ambien? Yes, those are all drugs. People become addicted to regular pills all the time.
Also, like, prescription drugs, like...
Yeah, like
Stuff that affect your body
yeah,
biologically
like,
that are taken in
oxycodone,
some sort of form.
oxycodines, yeah. All of them, yeah.
So basically, it's something that alters your biological or psychological
State of being.
state of being
Yeah.
in a way
that
where you
affects
have
those.
to take it in somehow. Like you input it, like either orally, whatever. But it has to be something you just.
So the reason I asked is because like the term drug didn't really come around until it was used to describe prescription things, right? Initially, it was stuff that was given to you by a doctor. Generally, it was like constructed, right? But then it got coined to things that were specifically designed nomenclatured as like bad for you, right? You're not supposed to do drugs. So you got things like they coined marijuana. Obviously, you have things like cocaine, stuff along that nature. So, outside of the fact that we just give terms to things, that's why I was asking, what exactly is a drug? If you're looking at let's say a native tribe that has been using medicine for ages,
it's still
is
a
it
drug. Yes,
it's still a drug, but it's also medicine.
It's a drug.
What's the difference between a drug and a herb?
Because for my definition of a drug, it's
herbs can be used as a drug, depending on the herb. I think there's a reason that we have the terms, because we didn't. You're absolutely right. Originally, drug was just used as a negative connotation, but then people started including oh, well, there's a big difference between, doing heroin and taking some ibuprofen, because there is.
Pharmaceutical
I think
drugs,
that's the reason why we have the phrases medicinal drug, recreational drug.
Okay, so what makes it... What defines it? What defines recreational, and then what defines medicinal?
Medicinal is something that you would use
to heal.
It has healing aspects socially. Recreational would be you aren't doing them because they help you. You're doing them because you like them. You don't need them. Medicinal is usually prescription. Over-the-counter things are because they're supposed to help ailments, things like that. Recreational drugs are things that at no point are you supposed to take them, but if you choose to, now you like them.
So a medicinal drug can become a recreational drug, right? Because you're not using it to heal yourself. A medicinal drug
can become a recreational drug, yes.
But a recreational drug could be used for medicinal purposes.
And then it becomes a medicinal drug.
So...
Correct.
Marijuana,
the use, I guess.
There's a reason that somebody can say he's got weed and he's got medical marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. Recreational usage, medicinal usage. But they're both still a drug. Like, at a flat term, they're both drug. Like, it's still... Marijuana is marijuana. It's a drug. So, if it's medicinal, it's positive.
Okay, so my next question. And this is just to gauge your guys' thoughts, because the human language sucks ass.
It does.
And we've assigned certain connotations to words that weren't necessarily their intention. What's the difference between drug and medicine?
I think it's the same thing. A drug can be a medicine, or a medicine can be a drug. No, never mind.
No.
I retract my statement. Doesn't make sense.
A drug can be a medicine. All medicines are drugs. Not all drugs are medicinal. All medicines are drugs.
Because they're altering the human state, basically. Okay.
Because they're altering the human state. All medicines are drugs. Not all drugs are medicinal. The difference is just the connotation. A medicine is supposed to help you. Ibuprofen is supposed to alleviate pain. Medicinal marijuana is to help with usually joint issues or anxiety. Like, a drug is something you choose to take recreational because you like the way it makes you feel, but you don't need it. Like, somebody that has sleep deprivation issues and has insomnia, they need Ambien or an Ambien-like thing. They need it so that they can live a normal life. Somebody in chronic pain needs some type of pain relief, whether that be minimal, ibuprofens, Aleve, Advils, or even medicinal marijuana to an extent, or severe, oxycodones, oxycodines, things like that. They need it so that they can function on a normal day-to-day basis. At no point in your life will you ever need heroin to function. You will never need cocaine to function. As a matter of fact, most of the time they make you function worse.
Unless you're withdrawing.
But then it's an addiction.
Yeah, that's
not
fair. Yeah,
it's not medicinal. That's you needing a fix. But like alcohol. Alcohol is a drug. I mean, it's listed in the whole don't do drugs thing. That includes alcohol. No one needs to drink alcohol. People want to drink alcohol because it's fun.
Yeah, it's definitely not a necessity.
Because it's fun.
You ain't drinking shit. Sip on your coffee.
It's coffee.
Sip on your coffee. But I would say that the different. Yeah, I would say the difference is medicinal is based on necessity. That's what I would say. But I'm not an expert.
And I'm not a pharmacist. So.
But that's where I would stand on it.
Okay.
But I definitely would say a drug is anything that affects your state of being.
Just to give context, where this question came from. Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay quarterback, he came out saying that he did ayahuasca, and it was ayahuasca. Yeah, it was like it was a life-changing experience for him.
Hold on. We ain't just gonna slide past the fact that Salo was on that.
Sorry, I've taken that. I've taken it. That's why I was just.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to say, we ain't gonna slide past the fact that he was on that. I know. You gotta give the man props. That was impressive. Well done. Anyway.
Alas.
So it led into a discussion when he was talking about it more. And he was very adamant, and the way he articulated it, it made a lot of sense. I'm not going to even attempt to explain it the way he explained it, because he is a mind that I will easily admit is beyond me. But he explained it in a way, coming down to the point that it's not a drug, and he very much was against the use of the word drug because of what we use. When we define drug, when we attach it to things, it is out of a complete negative connotation. It is drugs are bad. And that's how we look at it. We don't generally associate with, hey, this drug is a good thing for you. No, that's medicine. Medicine's good for you. Medicine helps you, whether that's mentally or physically. Medicine helps you. Drugs are bad. Drugs are not good for you.
I think that's a connotation thing, but I do think they are one and the same.
So I think if you take drugs being the original root, like we were saying, something that affects a human being, whether it be however it affects it. I think if we use it that way and not in the negative connotation, it could be applied to ayahuasca, because it is something that enters your biological system and messes with you. So I feel like it technically it's a drug if you stick to the root definition, we've been arguing about. I would label it as a drug. I wouldn't label it as a bad drug. Yeah. But if you use it, I feel like what Brett's also alluding to is I feel like if you picked a random kid off the street, maybe a teenager or high school, you started talking to them about what they think drugs mean, and I think the first response you're going to get
street drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're just a little bit
more. So in that vein, I almost thought it was his argument was fair, because in terms of connotation, it's not nowadays. It's not just connotation with how we use words. It's we now assign that word a meaning, and now that word will have this negative meaning regardless of how we decide we want to go about and use it. Well, if you go to people and say, I'm using a drug, they don't look at you like you're using medicine. They look at you
because you're not talking to a scientist. You're not gonna I'm using drugs. Right. If you say it to a scientist in the scientific community, they'll be like, okay, what drug are you taking? So they're not gonna be offended.
I don't think that's okay. So I agree. I understand where the perspective is coming from and the statement is coming from. The problem is we didn't assign the word that definition. We assigned it that connotation. The definition of the word hasn't changed.
I would say it's
I guess that might come into the conversation of what came first, the term medicine or the term drugs. Because the term drugs came specifically to give
You would think that traditional tribal communities would come up with a word similar to
it was I'm fairly confident it was medicine first.
Medicine. Yeah.
Because they were like let's say a shaman in a tribe. When he would be a healer. He would be a healer. He would give you medicine. Like it was medicine. Drugs, as far as I'm aware, which I mean I'm obviously not an expert, that was given to things like anything, let's say specifically government wise, that they did not want the public taking.
I will say this, Brett. I will say that I would not want to put detachment of drug to ayahuasca, because knowing how it works and knowing the medicine that it is, I feel like it would be doing the medicine an injustice. Like I wouldn't call it that. I would not, but it's just.
I just found where the word drug came from.
Okay.
Do tell.
The word drug, taken from the French word drogue, which means dry herb.
Interesting.
So what if medicine and drug were interchangeable because of the definition being so similar?
Well, that's why I was saying, like, they still are if it's a medicine. That's why I was saying all medicines are drugs, not all drugs are medicines.
Mm-hmm. I learned something
medicine and drug are interchangeable if it's a medicine. But it says here, the word drug, taken from the French word drogue, which means dry herb, strongly suggests that the earliest drugs were taken out from plant resources. Earliest people used to treat diseases by some unconventional methods using plants, animal products, and minerals. And of the plants were given priority. Eventually the word was... world's ancient systems of medicine, examples including Chinese medicine, Greek medicine, despite having wider differences in their principles of treatment, agree upon the point that disease is due to the imbalance within the constitutes of the body, and using dry herbs, which they referred to as drugs or drogues, would allow them to supplement the body in a proper way to treat the ailment. It looks like medicine and drug were interchangeable.
There's interchangeable words throughout different cultures.
Today's connotation of drug came around as today's drugs came around.
Right.
Like the modern drugs of America, the weed. Not necessarily. Weed's been here for a very long time, so that's not a good example.
I mean, hell, based on the definition, weeds...
Yeah, that's the original,
It's a dry herb.
Like the sterilized, like the stuff created, cocaine, heroines of the world.
The only reason weed and drug together became a bad connotation, that was all government influence.
In America, at least, it's completely 100%
in America, it was just government.
Marijuana was legal to grow as a crop back when you were a settler here in America. It was a complete. You would have that crop beside tobacco. Like, it was huge. It just became criminalized.
I don't like this explanation.
What?
A drug, in contrast to a medicine, can have a positive or negative effect on the patient. So can medicines.
Again, it comes to being so interchangeable.
Yeah, I don't like that explanation, because there are plenty of medications that have bad side effects for people.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't like that at all. That's a different page. I was trying to see if I could find anything else, but yeah, it looks like and the oldest drug to be used by people, at least as of right now, the three oldest. Oh no, it has the four oldest. The four oldest, number 4 in 2500 BC, poppy seeds. In 3000 BC, a form of cannabis was used in ancient China. In 3500 BC, in ancient Egypt, used alcohol. And in 5000 BC, our oldest drug known to man for human consumption was opium.
That makes sense. Just knowing history a little bit.
Now, if you think about what opium is now, it's heroin.
Heroin.
So, yeah, I would say I would say I understand why Aaron Rodgers would make that statement because it has such a negative connotation to it. I wouldn't agree with the statement, though. But I don't mind disagreeing with the statement because I don't see anything wrong with it, the drug he chose to take.
Yeah, I feel like it's if you look at it just pure definition-wise, technically it is a drug. It is that. But I see his hesitation because if you label it a drug in our society, it's putting back whether you want to think about it or not. Yeah, you're going to think
if you use the public's definition of what a drug is,
and then you told your parents, what would they say? I want to do ayahuasca. Technically, it's a drug. Don't be doing ayahuasca. What is that drug? Like it has a negative connotation. So his hesitation, I feel, is a lot of that, and I agree.
Right. But yeah, we can move on from that. I just thought it was a
for sure.
Interesting viewpoint, and I was curious on what your guys' viewpoints on that were.
No, I feel it. I got something funny to tell you guys. I think I might have already told Brett, but Salo, this will be the first you hear of it. So since our last recording, I had my concert in New Jersey.
Woo!
And it was awesome. It was a great time. Had a blast. But on the way there, I saw something. And it's just so dumb I have to share it with you. It won't lead to much of a conversation, but it was funny. Passed by a church on the way to the venue. Right after we
tore
crossed
it down because that's where the zombies
where all the zombies spawned. Yeah.
Yep.
It had one of those electronic signs that changes what it says on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And one of the slides said, "Come inside. We know it's hot today. Current temperature 262 degrees Fahrenheit."
That's funny.
Excuse
That's
me?
so dumb.
Excuse me?
Are we dead?
Are we dead?
Are we dead?
This is literally hell on earth.
Yeah, you guys didn't make it.
Like, 262? God damn.
That was the last things they typed.
Yeah, that was their last message. So, yeah.
60.
I just thought you guys might get a kick out of it. Oh, speaking of hell on earth, we got to talk about it real quick. Constantine 2. It's coming.
Oh yeah,
I was about to say. I know Brett cares.
I was checking. I was checking to see what that would be in Calvin to see if maybe like they looked at the wrong
or thing. Celsius or something.
What's
like, it doesn't even make sense.
It's like 11 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh no, it was warmer than that.
I would hope so.
It
love me some Keanu.
I mean, it was probably like in the 50s or 60s because it had been raining all day. But anyway, yeah. Speaking of hell on earth, Constantine 2 is official.
Keanu Reeves,
Reeves is coming back.
Good for him.
I'm surprised by this. I'm happy about it. I'm surprised.
I am too, because if they bring this Constantine into
the DCEU,
like into the verse, that means like the first one's canon,
right? Which means it would be the first DCEU movie now.
Yeah,
interesting.
It'd be weird, but I'm cool with it.
Especially Keanu Reeves. He does a good job.
I think I'm cool with it because it's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be cool with Constantine 2 if they had somebody else playing him.
Would you be cool with a Constantine reboot, though?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
With the right person.
I would want it to be the guy from the show.
He was a good Constantine.
He was a great Constantine. He looked just like Constantine. Like it was amazing. They cast that so perfectly. The Constantine from the show looked just like what I would think a Constantine would look like. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up real quick. Let's answer another question, shall we? Let's see. We'll answer Murphy's question. Do we think there's a reason that most people love hot showers but hate cold ones, but it's the exact opposite when they get in a pool? I think the easy answer is people get in the pool in the summer, so they want it to be cold. I think that's the easy answer on why it's like that for the pool. But I guess it does beg the question: if people love cold pools, why don't most people like cold showers?
So when you jump into a pool, right? You actually go full into the pool, so your whole body acclimates to the temperature of that water. When you get into a shower, you are being pelted.
Pelted, I like that
different
word.
Parts of your body. Your body is not instantly acclimating
it's being attacked.
A cold shower. Now, if you take what I would like to say, I think most people do warm as opposed to like scorching hot. I don't do scorching hot. I might work up to higher heat. I'm not jumping. I'm not going straight into
it. Blistering. No.
That's the thing. You work up to it, right? If you work down to a cold shower, you can take a cold shower.
So I actually like to work up to hot and then down to cold.
Interesting.
I do that sometimes, especially if like I know that I'm gonna be sweating after I get out of this hot shower because of like
humidity.
What it's like, humidity. I'll work down to a cold shower.
So I started working down to a cold shower because I found out it's better for your hair, and as I've tried to grow my hair out, I've tried to take more cold showers. It's better for your hair and your facial hair. It's also better for your metabolism. Cold showers have been proven to be about 17% more effective in improving your metabolism.
Now, that being said, would you guys ever do, and bear with me here, would you guys ever do those like Arctic dives where you're like plunged into like the coldest water? Like there's some people that do that, like the rich people of the world. They have like their own little diving place where in the morning as part of like after their exercise, they'll just plunge into like super cold water. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
Yeah, it's a thing, especially with the
taking an ice bath.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like,
and I've taken an ice bath before. It usually feels really fucking good.
Really?
Usually, I mean, after you adjust to it,
it's a shock at first, but if you just got done with a badass workout and everything's just tight and tense and cramping, and you're getting a nice cold ice bath, that shit feels nice. You bring your core temperature down. Now, I've done the polar bear plunge. That's a thing here in Maryland where in January you jump in the bay for charity, and the water's cold as shit. But I don't know if that compares with jumping in Arctic waters.
I think it's the same premise. I think it's that kind of.
I've been in really cold water in Alaska.
But like
that counts.
I don't know if that's
I'll
the
give
same.
you the pin.
But like I'm not doing it repeatedly.
Just to go back to the question though, like the reason people might prefer to like hot showers, your core body temperature is already warm. Mm-hmm. You'll acclimate easier.
Well, not only that, but most people, most of the time, people, there's two type of shower takers. Mm-hmm. There's the morning shower, and there's the fuck it's been a long day shower. The morning shower, the heat is going to help wake you up over time. Because the cold's just going to shock you awake.
Yeah.
The heat will help warm you up and wake you up and get you fully moving. After a long day, the heat is going to help relieve all the tension, loosen all the muscles, kind of relax you. And for the people that like to be cold afterwards, because I know most people actually like to be colder when they go to sleep so they can wrap themselves in a blanket, a hot shower will actually make you colder when you get out.
Yeah, the air around you, theoretically, depending on how your house is and stuff like that, it'll, like, the air will feel cold because you're really warm.
Right. It's a sensation trip. So.
Yeah. Now, something could be said as to, like, just culturally over time, you know, if you're just taught to take warm showers, you take warm showers.
Yep, and vice versa.
But, yeah, if I raise my kids, whenever I have kids, I raise them to take cold showers. They're gonna grow up taking cold showers.
Yeah. My dad went to jail and only had cold shower as an option. When he got out of jail, he took cold showers for the rest of his life.
That's what he was used to.
He got used to it after 4 years in jail.
Shit, I got used to it for a little bit. 2 months of basic training.
Basic training, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially at fucking Beast Week.
Did they do it on purpose?
What?
Did they do it on purpose?
There wasn't a lot of hot And there also wasn't a lot of time, so you didn't really have time to let it warm up.
Now, if you were at the end, you might have a warm shower.
You might have a warm-ish
shower. But
room temperature.
If you're at the end of the line, you also have the least amount of time to dry yourself off and get ready for get back to the bunk.
Get your ass back.
Yeah,
because like the clock starts with the first person.
Yeah, so you want to be at the front of that line.
That's horrible, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
He said your allotted time is for everybody.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no. If they say you have 2 minutes to shower, that's 2 minutes for all 30 people to get through that fucking shower. So dude, it was rapid showers. So they'd have all the faucets running. They would have somebody squirting soap into your hand, and you would go through, lathering up, going through all the faucets as you're going through, and get to the end, grab a towel, dry off.
It was like an assembly line.
Yep.
The fuck?
Yeah, and we had a flight of 50.
Jesus.
Because we were in the new dorms.
No, I was in the old ones.
Right. I was in the new dorms. So I had a flight of 50.
Terrifying. Showers sucked.
The new showers were really nice. Wish I got to spend a little bit more time with them. I'm going to be real. The only time you ever got any peace of mind was when you were taking a shit.
Sometimes.
Those were secluded.
Sometimes.
Nah, like you save your bathroom breaks for bedtime real quick. That's the only time no one's going to fucking bother you.
Yep. Yeah. I went and sat on the toilet for like 20 minutes one time because it was after lights. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I just get a little bit of peace and quiet. So nice.
Yo,
This is 20 minutes where I don't have to wear pants.
I had a fucking door guard come into the bathroom to like get me out of there. I'm like, dude, just go do your job. This isn't your job. Go do your job.
Door.
Yeah, watch the door. Why are you over here?
He thought you were up to no good.
I don't give a shit if I was up to no good. That's not his business.
I'm going to be real. Here's the thing. Here's the problem. There were many people who didn't use that 20 minutes to just relax. They used that for a different type of alone time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would be the only place, right? To get privacy.
But still, you can't go without. You're in a room with 30 other dudes.
Yeah, I don't find what would put me in the mood there. To each his own, by the way.
Look, even if you're gay, I'm not judging that. You're in a room with 30 people.
Just random ones.
And there's no bathroom door.
Yeah, some people could not wait.
Like, there's no door going into the bathroom. It's just an open, block, and then it goes around.
By the way, those bays, they echo.
Yeah. So
I can't frown any harder.
Bro,
I'm trying.
That moment when you wake up at in the middle of the night. It's like 3 a.m. and you just hear, just like
you hear the speed change.
Straight up.
You hear the speed change. God. You go from
puts it into
I want to go back to bed. Look, here's the problem. There was one time while I was at basic training, I definitely heard two different rhythms at the same time. I'm like, what is happening? And I realized there were two people in there just taking care of themselves on opposite sides of the bathroom.
Bro, there are some people that didn't, go to the bathroom. They'd just be in their bunk.
In their bunk, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how'd you finish? If you're in the bathroom, you grab some toilet paper, you flush that shit, right? If you're in your bunk... Did you just do it until you were almost done and then stop and blue ball yourself? I don't...
Just blue
anyway,
ball
let's move on.
That's crazy.
Let's move on.
Anyways.
Let's move on. We got one more question for this week.
Go ahead.
Amber asked, if you were a zombie with intelligence, who would you purposely turn? I would like to establish that question depends on if they also are a zombie with intelligence.
Right. Imagine you turn your go-to person.
You turn your best friend because you're like, now we're immortal. and they're just like, meh.
That's where that's funny. That's where my head went immediately. My head went to immortality. I was like, well, I'm good. That's a gift, right? You're going to give them
because you're an alpha, but all you create are betas.
Betas. You don't even create betas. You create deltas.
You'll be forever alone. The humans won't mess with you. Anytime you try to like turn somebody, they're like the drooling ones.
Like that would suck. But if they're also smart, I'm turning my best friends.
So I guess the answer depends on the way it's going to be. Like if it depends on whether it's going to be a malicious fight.
I got to do a test on somebody I don't really care for.
There you go.
Yeah.
So someone random. See if they turn out dumb or smart.
And if they end up mindless. So here's the thing. If they end up intelligent, I need to test again. If they end up mindless, that ends my test. Because now I know there's a chance of mindlessness. After like 4 or 5 tests, if they're all intelligent, then I know I can start turning people I actually care about.
Now, if these are people you don't like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get rid of them?
Yeah.
Like you turn them, you find out
they find out their intelligence, and then I... Yeah.
Now, if you find out that they're mindless, do you just keep turning people you don't like?
Yeah.
So, I suppose the question would then come to, at this point, you are an intelligent zombie. Do you just try to take over everything? Do you try to establish your own little spot? What do?
Yeah.
What? That's not an answer to my question.
Right in between North Carolina and South Carolina, there's Zombie Carolina.
Yeah.
So you establish your own spot and you take over everything.
Eventually, it's going to be like that one film with the Twinkie, Zombieland.
I take over everything, and that's my spot.
There you go. First rule of Zombie World is run, bitch.
That's facts.
I'd hope
no,
to be
so,
fast.
So, realistically, at that point,
if I could turn people and there was no chance of intelligence, then I would stop turning people. Because eventually it's going to catch up to the people I like.
And they're going to try to hunt you down. The humans will.
You're just
like, I don't give a shit. Kill me.
Yeah, my thought process was like eventually like, even the mindless ones are going to turn people, and then it's just going to spread to.
Yeah. I wouldn't turn people if I figured out that it's guaranteed. Just meh.
I'd rather be able to turn into a vampire instead of a zombie.
I would definitely not want to be a vampire.
Really?
Do you let a much more intelligent mind do tests on you to see if they can create a cure?
Sure.
Because theoretically in that situation, although you became this intelligent zombie, it doesn't mean no one else can just turn into a zombie. Like, however you turned into one, someone else theoretically could also turn into one.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
I would be down for that. That's just the right thing to do.
I definitely wouldn't want to be a vampire.
It's a lot of work.
Again, I guess it kind of depends on what kind of vampire, but I like that immortality better than zombie immortality. I don't like rotten flesh. Tomato, tomato. Anywho.
I mean,
turn into a Draugr.
That'd be fucking awful.
Just the soulless black pit eyes.
I got a question for you guys.
No.
Have you heard about this project in Saudi Arabia called The Line?
Yes.
Yes,
I have.
This shit's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Ow. So apparently they can put so much into this one line in Saudi Arabia. What would be like mega cities in one little line? Yeah. Isn't that insane?
It's insane. It's 110. The plan is for it to be like 110 miles long. But they'll have their own travel system so that you could get from one end of the line to the other in less than 30 minutes.
I feel like it could be potentially a way humanity might be able to go, especially with like overpopulation and stuff like that. Because apparently the whole thing with the line is that you can have a huge population and still have like your common, like where you live close to like a bank, close to like a laundromat place.
I saw like a video explaining it, and it said like it broke it into like these it said like the whole thing about it was using that third dimension of being able to go up and down to get to a different building and stuff like that. And it had like an entire neighborhood in like a, 50 by 50 area.
With all like your convenient needs accessible.
Yeah. And they showed a model of what it would look like if New York did it. And it was insane.
That's crazy. I want to see that.
It was so cool to see like one of the the main island was like it was so condensed that like it yielded so much potential for wildlife success.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that's something that we should, as humanity, work towards? Is instead of expanding out,
it'll never happen.
No, I'm just saying.
Should it?
Do you think that would be the way to go?
I think it would be very beneficial. It'll never happen, though.
No, we're going to lay claim and take over everything before we start building up.
Right. I feel like we're going to only build up when there's no other place to go.
Probably.
Well, that's when we'll go find a different planet to build on.
I've been reading a lot of fiction, like science fiction stuff, and like it's so trippy to me, like all these projects that people could envision of like putting yourself in stasis and just traveling 5,000 years to the nearest habitable planet and getting out of stasis, being reanimated and just colonizing a planet. Like, that shit's crazy to me. Like, I could see it possible, like, I don't know.
Not anytime soon, but maybe one day.
Yeah, not anytime soon, but sci-fi boy can dream.
That's fair. I mean, hell, apparently we're not that far off from everyday people being able to go to the moon.
Yeah, it's only science fiction until it happens.
And people go to space now. Like, there's commercial, albeit they're basically high altitude planes, but still it's technically space. You still have like 10 minutes of no gravity in the trip.
Was it Elon that was planning for like the space hotel? Was it
I think
him?
There's two big ones. I don't know if it's Elon, but there's two big ones that are like two billionaires. Yeah, and they're billionaires, both of them, or something like that. But yeah, I don't know.
Anywho.
I'm excited. I hope space is something we develop because it's better than war.
It would be interesting. So, in my endless endeavors on YouTube and TikTok, I heard two very interesting stories that I'd like to share with you, gentlemen. The first one is of a man named Jean-Claude Grammond. Now, you probably thought I was going Jean-Claude Van Damme, but I'm not.
Yeah, I did.
Jean-Claude Grammond was... so this is how the story was told. He was a well-respected doctor. I don't remember what kind. But basically, one night, a horrible fire happens at his house. Kills his wife, kills his kids, puts him in a coma. And his best friend, also a doctor, comes to see him in the hospital, and there are police outside of his room waiting. And so they ask to talk. They're like, "Oh, you know him. Let's come talk with us." And they inform his best friend of like 15 years. Like these guys have been best friends for a long time. Inform the best friend that he wasn't actually a doctor. He went to medical school and no-showed his final test of year 1.
What?
And if you do that, they'll let you retake it. And so he kept taking year 1 of medical school and no-showing the final test for like 10 years. Until he had done it long enough that people would believe he was now a doctor.
Because he just had all the information and knowledge.
He had all the information and the years of medical school to influence people to believe that he was a doctor.
He knew enough, I guess.
He would then claim that he was going on these business trips to, these facilities, or to, I think one of them was he was working on something in Siberia. He never actually went to these places. He would go to, like, the national, like, something library or museum or something and just walk around for a couple hours when he was claiming he was at work. And when he would claim he was going on business trips, he would just go stay at a hotel and then come back. Because his wife didn't know that he wasn't actually a doctor.
He had a whole wife that didn't know.
No one. His parents didn't know. No one. None of his friends, none of his family. And the way he managed to pay for everything was he was renting out the place that he lived in when he was going to medical school that his parents bought him. So his parents bought him this place, and then he started renting it out at a high price because it was for medical school students, and used it to pay his bills until it no longer was feasible that way. And then he started roping in his friends and family members into these, like, schemes where he would tell them, give me your life savings, I know exactly where to invest it because I'm within these communities, and he's a doctor, everyone's going to trust him. If you're friends with him and close with him, you're going to trust him. So they would give him his life savings, and he would use it to pay his bills, telling them that they were being invested, and people started to ask for their money, and he started to get caught. And so his answer to getting caught was he went to his parents' house, he killed his parents, he killed their dog. He went home, he killed his wife, he killed his kids, he took sleeping pills, and he set his house on fire.
Whoa. I did hear about this.
Yeah.
This was in 1993.
Yep.
And then he took sleeping pills and set his house on fire. And the plan was for him to die in the fire too while he was asleep. It was going to be a spree killing and then take himself out. But the fire department got there before it got to him. And they saved him. And he ended up waking up from the coma he was in. And he ended up going on trial. But it's like... And then, here's the best part. You ready for the best part?
Yes.
In 2014 or 15, he became eligible for parole. And in 2016 or 17, he was released.
Wow.
He's out. He's out. What?
That's insane.
Yeah, according to this, he was convicted for 5 murders and suspected of a 6th murder. He killed his wife, his 2 children, and both his parents, and was also suspected in the death of his father-in-law, who fell from a staircase, and he was the only witness to the accident. So he suspected, backtracking, that he probably had something to do with that. But yeah, how crazy is that?
People are crazy, man. Damn. I can't believe he's free.
Yeah, like, how do you let this man go?
Free world is not for men like that.
What kind of lawyer did he have?
You ain't kidding.
And where do I get his business card? Just asking for a friend. Like, damn.
Like, just in case. Like
what?
Yeah, so he was sentenced to 22 years, life imprisonment with no eligible parole for 22 years. He became eligible for parole in 2015. An appeals court granted him parole in 2019 after he had been in prison for 26 years.
Shit.
That's craziness.
Yep. So I saw all about that, and I had to tell you guys all about that because shit was just crazy. The other story, very different, but also very crazy, about a man named David Lewis, who in 1993, he was living in, I think it was Houston or Arlington, Texas. He was somewhere in Texas. It was the beginning of the year, and his wife and daughter went on a trip to Dallas for like a shopping weekend or something. And he chose to stay home because it was Super Bowl weekend. And he was a Cowboys fan, and the Cowboys were in the Super Bowl. He wanted to stay home for the Super Bowl. And no problems, whatever. The wife and daughter get home right about when the Super Bowl was ending. TV's still on. He's not home. TV is still being recorded through the VHS, because you guys remember back in the day where you had to actually use a VHS to record shit. The recording was still going, which means he never stopped it.
Right.
So she just assumed maybe he stepped out, whatever. There was a bunch of, like, suspect things. And me listening to it, I'm like, how did you not put any of this together? She checked the fridge, and, like, he had 2 of his, like, favorite sandwiches prepped and never ate them, whatever. On the kitchen counter was his watch and his wedding band, which kind of struck me as a little strange. But, okay. And she didn't think anything of it. She just thought maybe he went over to a friend's house to watch the rest of the game. Whatever. So she ended up going to bed thinking he would be home by the time she woke up. When she woke up and he still wasn't home, that's when she panicked. Okay, at least you got worried at some point. So she called the police. A little bit of time goes by. They haven't found him. He hasn't come to work. Nobody knows where he is. They eventually find his car abandoned. But he has, in his car, his wallet is still there, all his money, his keys, his driver's license, everything. It's all still in the car. Most of it is actually under the floor mat.
Like he was hiding it?
Like he was hiding shit, yeah. Or there was a struggle. Something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But the wife told the police that she was really concerned that something might have happened because he had been worried for months that he was in danger because he was a lawyer and he was working on a case where someone was about to flip state's witness. Nobody found him. Years go by. No one has found him. Several years later, a police officer in Washington State, I don't remember where, but in Washington State, is watching like these cold case things because he finds them interesting. He's a detective. He likes to watch those like cold case shows and shit like that. Saw one about David Lewis and said, this guy looks like a John Doe that was in a case I was involved in right around that time. Like, he remembered, like, he looks mad familiar. But the guy had no ID. The guy was struck on the side of the road in full military garb. Just walking. No ID. Full camos. Just walking down the street. Like the highway. In Seattle. Or somewhere in Washington State. A day and a half after David Lewis went missing. So they exhumed the body, they grabbed some DNA, they tested it against David Lewis's. It was him. They found him.
He was in military garb?
He was in military garb. He had no affiliation with the military. He also, without using his bank account, using his car, using any money of any source, got from Texas to Washington State in a day.
So, logically,
and they ruled this. This has got to be foul play, right?
Yeah. I mean,
they ruled this that he left on his own volition, and that it was just a sad accident, and they just closed the case.
Maybe I'm paranoid, but nah, fam. If that ever happens to me, y'all better investigate. I did not know
I don't know, man. You want to hang out with Genghis Khan. I don't know. You might just do some weird shit.
But I mean, yeah, if it's in the time travel ghost scenario, fine. But any other scenario, you better look into it.
You're the only one that mentioned a time traveling ghost.
You. Yeah, that was all you. All right, so here's what it was. Yeah, he went missing. He went missing on January 31st, last day of January in 93. On February 2nd, that's when his car was found outside of the courthouse where he worked. His keys were under the floor mat. His checkbook, credit card, driver's license were all found in the car. And apparently this was normal for him to leave his stuff in the car. And the building was a 13-minute drive from the airport. Apparently, he had previously bought 2 plane tickets, one from Dallas to Amarillo, and one from Los Angeles to Dallas. But he ended up not using either of them. And that's when his wife had brought up the case that he was working on because it was a case he had to go to Amarillo for. So this was in 93. In 2003, the Seattle Post printed an investigative series called Without a Trace, detailed the whole situation. Washington State Police Detective Patrick Dutter read the article and decided to put John and Jane Doe details into a Google search to see if they matched any missing persons. A John Doe in Washington was very close match to the missing David Glenn Lewis from Texas. There was some doubt as David had distinctive glasses that the John Doe wasn't wearing, but Detective Dutter had checked the belongings list for the John Doe. He had glasses in his pocket. So they sent DNA. They ended up matching. They made a connection. 11 years later, David was finally found, but without any explanation. Yeah.
That's terrifying. How does that happen? Like somebody kidnapped him, dragged him across a couple states.
I mean, so my thing is like, maybe he fled, but he got followed
and killed, found.
But I don't understand the military garb.
Why would they rule this not a homicide?
Was there any military facility near where he was hit?
Let me see if I can find that out.
I mean, it doesn't seem like there was much investigation after they found he was hit by a car. It's a tragic accident, but I don't know.
Here's the thing, like,
you'd think you'd want some type of explanation, right?
I mean, but here's the problem. You're in military garb. If you're in the military, your information is in the DoD database. Your fingerprints, your dental records, all of it. It's in the database. So the minute that they ran his information and he didn't match as a military member, aren't there a shit ton of questions?
Normally.
Wouldn't you have questions if you were a cop?
Well, because depending on how the military garb was, like if he's just wearing something you could just pick up at a surplus store,
yeah,
I don't know if that's the same. But if he's dressed up in full uniform,
but it's such a particular case for someone to be found like that, and they're like, oh well, he just went crazy. It's all right, not suicide. I mean, there's no foul play here at hand.
I mean, if there's a base nearby, my first thought is, did we let somebody on this base that we weren't supposed to?
Right.
And that's my question. I like what Brett's question was, like, how official, like, what were they wearing? Like, I wonder if it was just like the stuff you can get at Goodwill, or if it was like actual, like, the world may never know. 1, 2.
It says he was
3.
It says he was found about 12 miles from Lewis McCord. 12 miles is a long walk.
It is.
That's a marathon.
But it's doable.
Miles.
It's very doable.
It's doable, but we gotta consider the time frame here. He got to Seattle without any money, which means he couldn't have taken a plane. Hell, he had 2 plane tickets, and neither of them led to Seattle. Hell, one of them was to Amarillo, and then somehow he was supposed to get from Amarillo to L.A. so he could come back to Dallas. Because one of them was from L.A. to Dallas. How'd he get that? Like, how was he gonna get to L.A.? The whole situation.
I'm gonna let you guys ponder this. I gotta go. Okay. So, you guys go ahead and continue. Yeah. And I'll see everybody later.
All right,
bye,
homie. Bye. All right.
But yeah, the whole scenario is just absolutely bonkers.
I would like to put this on a crimes unsolved subreddit and see what people can come up with, because they would just come up with like the craziest connections.
Man, like I don't know. I just don't understand. Like I don't understand how there weren't more questions.
Right, like it's just so strange. Like the only other story that reminds me kind of like in that realm of weirdness, there is a case. I think the lady's name was Missy. She was like she would help out at church a lot, and she would be like one of those people. I don't remember if she was like a teacher of like kids in the church or something. She had to go to the church in the very she was the first one there, like at 5:00 in the morning. Pulled up, started getting everything ready, and later that day she was found dead in the church. They go back, they rewind the footage, and they see a weird figure that was there before Missy showed up, in wearing what looks like a SWAT military, like a SWAT uniform. And it's not like one of those slim ones. It's like he looks bulky.
Right.
And the person there has a limp. And you can see this person like in full SWAT armor, going and just like breaking stuff, going into rooms, checking for things, looking like she is looking for something. Never takes anything. And as soon as Missy shows up, just murders her. And nobody ever found that person. Nobody knew what was up. And it's really trippy. Like, why would you be wearing a full like SWAT type thing,
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah.
So, I got a little bit more information. So here's what this article says. Everyone who had known David knew that he would never leave his job, his family, or community responsibilities behind willingly. Right around the time that he had vanished, he had expressed fears that he was in danger. Police found no evidence to pursue it, and the case went cold. It would not be until another seemingly unrelated unsolved mystery 1,600 miles away was looked at a decade later that there would be any new development, and it would get even weirder. Across the country, just outside the small town of Moxie, Washington, there was another unsolved mystery going on at the same time Lewis had disappeared. On February 1st, 1993, the day after he disappeared, a man had been seen by startled motorists walking down the center line along Route 24 and was struck and killed in a hit-and-run incident before anyone could help him. The man, who had been wearing military-style clothing and work boots, had no identification. His fingerprints didn't show up in any database, and the police were unable to identify the mystery man. The case was baffling at the time and was never solved, languished in the realm of the cold cases right along with Lewis. But this would change in 2004. That's when that detective looked into the John Doe death. He sort of messed around tracking down the information, physical characteristics, realized that they matched, had the DNA checked, it confirmed, solving both cases, seemingly all in one swoop, but hardly solving the mystery. The most pressing mystery is, why was Lewis all the way in Washington to begin with? He had no business there, no friends or family who lived there. He had never even been there and had made no mentions at all about going to Washington. Everyone who knew him was sure there was no reason he would be there. He had no connection to the area. So how did he manage to be walking along the center lane of a highway to end up dead there? People are confused because if he had been kidnapped, then why would he have wound up walking alone down the highway? And why hadn't he called out for help to a passing vehicles? Another idea is that he could have gone out there on his own for reasons unknown, perhaps specifically choosing Washington precisely because it was a place he had never been before and thought that maybe he wouldn't be found there. Yeah, no one's even asking the question of why he was wearing military-like garb.
Which is the weirdest thing for me. I don't know.
Yeah. The whole situation is just bonkers, dude.
And I mean, could it be one of those things where, like, he bought these tickets and, like, only took tickets and he just happened to have a ticket to Washington? And he just used the ticket to get to Washington? Like, I don't know, man.
There's no record of him buying a ticket to Washington.
Is there a record? I wonder if there's a record about... Because the other tickets are weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why would he have tickets?
Dallas to Amarillo and Los Angeles to Dallas. But neither of them help him get to Washington State. I mean, L.A. gets him closer, but still not overwhelmingly close, especially to... He was clearly at his house during the Super Bowl because it was recording. The game was on. He left in a hurry during the Super Bowl. So by the time he gets from his house at some point during the Super Bowl, which we'll say started at 6, let's just say he left any time after that. We'll just start with 6. Took him 20 minutes to get to where he worked. Then he disappeared. And then at some point in the next 18 hours, he ended up 1,600 miles away with no ID and no money.
18 hours. You can drive there.
But he didn't take his car.
22 hours. 22 hours to drive there. So, I mean, even if you're speeding and make it within the 18-hour time frame, like, damn, that's so weird. Like, the distance. Why Washington?
And he didn't take his car. So he had to have flown.
Then it makes you think, like, private flight? Like, did he get maliciously kidnapped, escaped? But then why would he, like, suicide himself?
Ask for help?
Yeah.
It's just so bonkers, man. But anyway, I think that all of our viewers and listeners should tell us what they think about this crazy case.
Aliens?
Continue to ask questions. Maybe aliens, yeah. Continue to ask questions. Looking to get a little bit more interaction on the YouTube. So, if you watch on YouTube, how about...
And you made it this far.
This time, yeah. How about this week, or this episode, if you listen on Spotify, ask your questions on Twitter. If you watch on YouTube... ask your questions in the comments on YouTube. That way we can also get a gauge of where our viewers are. Mm-hmm. You know, we'll know if we're getting more on Spotify or more on, you know, the world of YouTube. Like, ask if we have more based on your platform.
If we have more YouTube people, then we might do more visual stuff. If we have more audio people, then we'll be more respectful of the audio people. But yeah, that'd be fun to see. You know,
yeah, I'd be curious to see where our audience lies in terms of, do you use Spotify more or do you use YouTube more? So go ahead and let us know. As you guys have probably seen, Brett and I have been uploading weekly NFL videos. We're going to try and upload more and more stuff other than just the podcast to continue to broaden the channel's content. So let us know if there's any kind of things you guys would be interested in seeing. I think this is a pretty good time to wrap up. Brett's not here. Don't want to do too much without him, except maybe finish the topic we were on. So... unless you got anything else, Ollie? You got anything?
No, man. That was it.
All right, cool.
I'm good to
go. All right, well then, everybody, We appreciate you. On behalf of Brett, Salo, and I would like to thank you for spending your time with us for the last hour and a half. You fools, you've wasted so much time on us, and we greatly, greatly appreciate it. And with all that being said, we look forward to talking to you in episode 19.
Absolutely.
As always, have a great day. Bye, guys.
Toodaloo.